Hello, friends, and welcome back to We Should Talk. Today, we're going to talk about attachment styles. This was a listener requested topic, and we're going to get into it. We should talk. Hi, friends. This is Bethany Jennings, and you're listening to We Should Talk. It's a podcast where we talk about anything and everything to encourage, equip, and empower you to be a decent human. Let's talk. Hello, and welcome back. Just a heads up, this is going to be a very science-dense episode. I'll try to keep it as relatable and understandable and listenable as possible. Let's talk about setting. I am between appointments in my car. I do not have my children with me, so there will not be any interruptions today. I have a slight cough because January. So I'm drinking water here and there. I'm sorry if I pause a lot. Let's get into it. Attachment. What is that? I'm going to give you research-based, peer-reviewed input on this, all right? So what are attachment styles? Where did this come from? Attachment theory was actually first formulated by John Bowlby in the 50s and 60s, 1950s and 60s. And then later got expounded upon by a lady called Mary Ainsworth, mostly through observational work. For example, the Strange Situation was one of those observational works. It showed that, her work specifically showed that infants form characteristic ways of relating to caregivers based on the caregiver's responsiveness. The internal working models of relationships tend to persist into adulthood. So basically, how you're cared for as an infant shows up as an adult. Researchers usually identify 4 primary attachment styles. So this was something that was specifically requested by a listener. So if you're that listener, I really hope you're listening. And I hope this helps other people as well. This is my car texting, reading text. Oh my word, I hope it doesn't keep doing that. What was I saying? I'm all distracted now. Oh, attachment styles. This was listener requested, and I really hope that everyone else benefits from it as well. So 4 primary attachment styles: secure attachment, anxious ambivalent attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized or fearful avoidant attachment. So let's talk about what that actually means. So secure attachment, that's the goal, right? This develops when the caregivers are consistently responsive, they're sensitive to the kid's needs, they're emotionally available to the child, and children learn that others are reliable and their needs will be met. And the early expectations become internal working models, or it becomes beliefs that I as a person am worthy of love and others can be dependable, right? That's the goal. That's like the gold standard of attachment. Everybody has attachment, but you might not have attachment issues. So here come the issues with attachment. Anxious ambivalent attachment. So this shows up when caregivers are inconsistent. Sometimes they're supportive, sometimes they're emotionally unavailable, and it's just unpredictable all around. And this unpredictability leads to the child being unsure whether comfort's actually going to come this time. So what that looks like as adults is there's like a strong fear of abandonment, and then they get like hyper vigilant to relationship cues. Like your significant other's having a bad day and you just assume that they're going to leave you, right? So you become really scared of abandonment and you read a lot into relationship cues. That's what happens when there's anxious ambivalent attachment. Ambivalence is kind of a fun word to say, but also it has a lot of meaning. And I think I'm going to do a episode about ambivalence. We'll do that, a whole dive into that. Anyway, so anxious ambivalent means unpredictable. I don't know what's about to happen, right? Avoidant attachment is the third one. So this shows up when caregivers are emotionally distant or unresponsive to distress. Like they are consistently not available. The child learns to suppress attachment needs, and then it prioritizes self-reliance as a result of that. So the caregiver is not responsive to the needs, at all. And the kid says, well, I guess nobody's going to show up. Better figure this out for myself. So in adulthood, that looks like emotional distance. It looks like discomfort with any kind of emotional intimacy at all. Discomfort with being close to people. Because why should I? They're not going to take care of me anyways. And then the fourth one would be the disorganized or fearful avoidant attachment. So this is like the extreme forms, right? The extreme issues that led to this. So trauma, neglect, frightening caregiving, where the caregiver is safety and fear. Like it's disorganized. It's all the things all at once. It's very disorganized. Now this is different than anxious ambivalent, right? Anxious ambivalent is inconsistent. Disorganized is safety and fear. Caregiving, that's frightening. Like it's extreme opposites, not just inconsistency. So, yes, this is my caregiver. Yes, they feed me and clothe me and take care of me and they make me feel safe. And then all of a sudden they're beating me, you know? This shows up as a lack of coherent strategy is how they put it. Approach and avoidance conflict in relationships. So I'm going to not even get into that with you. I'm out. It's that one's the worst one. And again, disorganized, fearful avoidant, not anxious ambivalent, not just avoidant, but fearful avoidant, is because of trauma, neglect, and frightening caregiving, quote unquote. So these early patterns, again, this is what forms the internal working models that shape expectations and behaviors throughout your whole life. It influences your thoughts, your emotions, how you cope in relationships. So let's talk about how common these are, because I think a lot of people, well, she's got issues, and like daddy issues, mommy issues, like we use those terms pretty frequently, but let's actually talk about how common this is. Adult attachment research, this is actual, I'm not making this up, this is actual research, finds in non-clinical examples that secure attachment, which is, this is what we want, we can handle and function in relationships normally. Secure attachment is like 55 to 60% of the population, again, in non-clinical samples. Anxious attachment is 20 to 25. Avoidant attachment is 20 to 25 as well. And disorganized is much smaller, less consistently measured, right? Because again, these are non-clinical samples. I think if this wasn't a clinical setting, those numbers would be different, and you have to allow for that kind of skew. Anyways, again, science heavy nerd moment. So that's how often we're seeing it. So 55 to 60% of the normal population, quote unquote, has secure attachment. Like they're functioning on a relatively normal level. Or if they're not, it's not because of attachment issues in their childhood. But there are consequences, right? So let's talk about consequences and the emotional well-being of people. And again, this is research. I'm not making this stuff up. It's research. Using ecological sampling methods. Again, when you get into research, when you get into the clinical side of things, it really matters how the research is done. Like they have to go through whole vetting processes of research, so that this isn't like, well, yeah, everyone has a great attachment style, but also you chose this population segment, or yeah, everyone has horrible attachment stuff, but you also chose to go to the foster care home, or you chose to go to child services housing. Of course they're going to have issues, right? So again, it matters the sampling that you use. It matters how these how this research is done. It matters, and there's a whole vetting process for it. So even while you're listening to even commercials like, well, 90% of dentists recommend this, do they? And how much money are they getting to recommend it? Right? So you need to consider the sampling method. You need to consider how they're choosing this, and don't believe everything you hear. At this point, don't believe anything you see, because AI is getting crazy. Anyways, so that's all I'm going to say about sampling, I think, for the most part. I don't know. I might get into it again. With the ecological sampling method, it shows anxious attachment is associated with higher negative effect, right? Greater fear of rejection, lower positive effect in daily life compared to secure adults. to be expected. Both anxious and avoidant adults report feeling less cared for by others. Like, nobody cares when I don't take care of myself. They care for me, they don't. Okay, then I just assume they're not going to care. It's easy to assume they're not going to care about me. Another thing with the avoidant adults is they show a stronger preference to solitude. You're not going to take care of me anyways. Why would I waste my emotions investing time with you, right? Like, why would I do that? They prefer solitude. With insecure attachments, there's actually higher levels of depression, anxiety, loneliness, and stress over time, of course. So what insecure means, anything that's not secure. That's the fearful avoidant. That's the anxious ambivalent, avoidant straight out, disorganized attachment, all that. Anything that is not secure is insecure, right? So insecure attachment is going to show higher levels. I'm still getting another text. Sorry. My Walmart order's ready. Y'all, this life, I'm just trying to record these episodes between life. So higher levels of depression, anxiety, loneliness, stress, and also poor immune and stress responses under relational stress. I kid you not. It does affect your immune system. It does affect your stress response because it's all connected. It's not like either it's my body or it's my emotions. Nope. Either it's spiritual or it's psychological. Nope. It's all together. Everything affects everything. They are not, again, I've said it 1,000 times. They're not at war with each other. It's all the things. All the things affect all the things, right? I don't know how. Could someone tell me how to get my car to quit reading all of my text messages to me? I don't know how to do that. Please send that in a comment somewhere or message me on Instagram. Anyways, so what's this look like in relationships? Attachment across different relationship styles shows up different ways, but there are commonalities. So in familial relationships, a secure attachment in childhood, it's better peer competence, better social skills, better emotional regulation, right? Well, in contrast to that, avoidant or resistant or anxious infants show low peer competence, and later researchers even find links between insecure attachment and externalizing and internalizing problems, right? So this is not my problem. I don't have to get invested in that. I don't have to worry. That's not me. That's not me. That's not my fault. And internalizing everything as far as, oh my word, everything's my fault. Everything I do is the worst. Everything is, this is, I'm taking this problem into myself. This is my problem. I did this, and internalizing the stress around you, just letting that affect your body. And then also insecurity towards parents and peers in adolescence predict adult romantic anxious attachment, right? This is longitudinal research is what they call it. This is long-term stuff. Adult romantic anxious attachment and reliance on emotion-oriented coping rather than support seeking. So I'm going to cope with this discomfort by detaching. I'm going to cope with this discomfort by lashing out. That's emotional, right? It's emotionally driven rather than seeking the appropriate support. So for a real life example for family, a secure child, they comfort easily when the parent returns and they grow up trusting caregivers and sibling support. An anxious child clings to the parent, is distressed by separation. Well, in adolescence, they may react strongly to being perceived rejection, right? From siblings or parents. The avoidant child, minimally distressed by separation, like do whatever, I don't care. But later, they might contain emotional distance from family members. And then the disorganized child, again, this is like the trauma and all the things, very erratic behavior around caregivers, may struggle with trust and emotional regulation later. I saw that a lot in the behavior unit. Like sometimes they just could not get enough of me, were so sad when I wasn't there for a day. And then all of a sudden I'm with them and then they start hitting me and punching me. So, definitely disorganized attachment style. Okay, in friendships, what does that look like? Empirical studies, they show attachment style does predict friendship quality. Again, this is longitudinal throughout their whole life. This affects things. So secure adults, more positive perceptions of friendships, better mutual support. Anxious attachments look like lower self-esteem, more difficulty trusting friends. Avoidance styles look like emotional distance, less closeness, all the things, right? And I don't know how to get rid of them, friends. Maybe I'll put on Do Not Disturb. Maybe that'll help. Maybe I won't read it that way. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, avoidant. Very emotionally distant, less closeness. I'm not connected with any of my friends. I got people that I hang out with, but I'm not like close to them. So a secure adult friend looks like comfortable, very comfortable depending on friends, but also comfortable in being depended upon, right? So I can offer support to you, and I know you'll offer support to me. That's a secure attachment adult as a friend. An anxious, and you may know these people. You may be these people. Anxious attachment in an adult friend may be you need constant reassurance from your friends. You worry about being rejected. You misinterpret neutral cues as rejection. Like, I didn't mean nothing by that. Why are you offended at me right now? Like, literally, what are we doing? You need a reassurance. Are we friends? Did you want to go out? Are you mad at me? Are you blah, 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 blah? Those people are the anxious attachment adult friends. Avoidant adult friends look like they avoid deep disclosure even with close friends. So like, you never really know the core of them. You never really know what's going on with them, and therefore if there is an issue, they never get the help they really need. Disorganized adult, oh Lord, unstable, unpredictable, all up in your business one day, can't find them the next day. They're everywhere, right? And unfortunately, we all know that friend. And okay, now, so that's family, that's friends. Now let's look at the romantic, because a lot of people, that's what y'all been waiting on. But you need to care more about the friendships, because the friendships determine the romances. Anyways, romantic relationships, let's talk about it. There is a lot of research applied to attachment theory of adult romantic relationships, because it affects a lot of people, right? It affects marriages. Like, why are marriages failing? Because we got a bunch of attachment issues, because nobody knows how to take care of their kids, apparently. So let's talk about it. And again, empirical findings. This is research. I didn't do this. Securely attached adults show greater intimacy, trust, commitment, and satisfaction, obviously, than anxious and avoidant counterparts. Anxious attachment is going to show higher relationship distress. Again, anxious, they're worried, frequently worried about partner's availability, intense emotional needs, and the avoidant attachment predicts less intimacy and emotional closeness. Even when committed, these people they find it really hard to be close, and they'll maintain this. Like, I'm committed to you, but I don't need to be around you right now. Like, I'm sorry, what? That is the avoidant. So here's the examples. So a secure partner dyad, right? Both of them. They communicate openly during conflict. They regulate their emotions effectively. They know how to be in a relationship. The anxious partner, they can be clingy. Anxious, they're worried about it. They want reassurance. Repeatedly seek reassurance, and they fear abandonment. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. They're worried about it. On the other hand, the avoidant partner, they're the one rolling out. They downplay love, and it's not that big of a deal. Downplay love and intimacy. They postpone really committing to the relationship, and they really start to bug. Like, they irritate the significant other by withdrawing constantly. They're avoiding closeness. They're avoiding intimacy. They're avoiding connection, because they've consistently been shown in their childhood that connection doesn't matter. I'm not going to put myself out there. Now, the anxious avoidant pairing, when the anxious gets with an avoidant, it creates a push-pull dynamic where each partner's tendencies activate the other partner's fears, activates the other partner's tendencies, right? So the anxious person that's like super clingy and needs reassurance, when that anxious person gets with the avoidant person, the avoidant person's like, oh my word, I cannot breathe. I need space. And then the anxious person is like, I need you. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. And the avoidant person's like, if you don't back up off of me, I'm about to roll. I'm about to roll. Right? And so it's this push, pull, and there's an issue there because they didn't deal with their issues, right? So let's talk about emotional regulation, because some people ain't got it, and there's reasons. Attachment styles, again, they embed or encode beliefs about yourself, like you're worthy or unworthy of care, and it also encodes beliefs about others, like, are they available and trustworthy? Are they unavailable? Are they untrustworthy? These that encoding, that this is like your brain's blank slate. Like, this is the baseline of your brain. That's a schema, right? So cognitive schemas shape the expectations in relationships throughout life. Does that make sense? Like, that's the starting point of your brain based on what you've been taught. This is now your starting point, and so you assume every relationship is going to fit into this mold, even if the mold is skewed, even if the mold is wrong. So anyways, it forms schemas about relationships and your emotional regulation, about your self-worth, or whether you're worthy of care and attention and intimacy, and whether other people are capable of giving it. Emotional regulation, there are strategies that involve regulatory patterns. So for secure, it's flexible emotional regulation, effective support seeking. Again, that's the gold standard. That's the people that really don't have big issues in relationships. They can emotionally regulate, and they seek help when they need it. The anxious person, very heightened emotional reactivity. They're crying about everything. And not just because they feel deeply. They're crying about everything because they're stressed that you're going to leave them. Hypervigilance about relationship cues. Like, oh my word, he didn't text me. Like, as soon as he woke up, I know he's leaving me. That girl. That's who we're talking about. The dude who's like, why didn't you tell me you were going to the grocery store? You could have been killed. Right? That guy, he's got anxious attachment issues. He's afraid, not just for your safety, he's afraid that you're going to leave him and make him feel unsafe. And then there's the avoidant, down-regulated emotional expression, like very flat. You could not talk to me for 4 days, and I actually prefer it. That friend. That's who that person is. They prefer on self-reliance, and they, not always, but a lot of times prefer their partner to have self-reliance, which makes for a weird romantic relationship technically, because like, if we're in it together, why are we not together? That's not normal. So let's summarize if we can. It was a lot. We're already 23 minutes into this episode. This is longer than normal, I think. I don't even know what is normal anymore. Moving on. Secure, anxious, avoidant, disorganized. Those are the 4 main types or attachment styles. Secure, anxious, avoidant, disorganized. So for secure, your caregiving was consistent, it was on point, very attuned to your needs. The adult consequence of that is healthy intimacy, trust, emotional regulation. Examples: strong friendships, stable romantic bonds, supportive family ties. So that's secure. Here's anxious, inconsistent caregiving. You're here, you're not. You're here, you're not. So that results in fear of abandonment and emotional reactivity. The person becomes very clingy, and they need frequent reassurance. The avoidant person, distant, unresponsive caregiving. Not like they're here, they're not, like they're just not there, right? Emotional, that's in an adult, that looks like emotional distancing, preference for independence, and that person keeps their friends and relationships in general at an arm's length, and they avoid really deep conversation or disclosure. And then disorganized is the frightening or erratic caregiving, conflicted approach to closeness, like they want it, but you're gonna hurt me. This shows up with unpredictable relational patterns and difficulty to remain stable in anything. All right, so that was a lot, and we had a lot of text interruptions. I'm sorry. Again, if you know how to make that stop, let me know. I don't know. I could probably Google it or research it, or whatever. I do research on everything else. My husband talks about like kinds of smarts, and I don't know. Like, maybe we should talk about that another time. Like, there's street smarts and book smarts. Like, those are the terms, right? But I don't know. It's like certain things I know I know a lot of things, right? And if I don't know, I'm going to find out. Other things, it's like, it doesn't matter how much I research it. I'm like, I don't know. I've deleted that information from my brain. Sorry. That's where I'm at with this phone. Because it's so helpful when I'm actually in the car with my kids. But when I'm doing things like this in the car, which is not normal, I understand. I don't need it reading to me, but I don't know how to turn it off. Anyways, moving on. We've had a lot of text interruptions. But I feel like this episode had a lot of information, and maybe go back and listen to it again, and you'll start to notice these things: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. You're going to start noticing this in relationships. And again, once you understand why people are the way they are. It helps you treat them with more compassion. It helps you to love them like Jesus loves them. And he loves us so good because he understands us. I hope this makes you a better human. And we will talk again next time. Bye, friends. Well, that was fun. I'm glad you stuck around for the whole thing. And thank you for talking to me today. Y'all go like and follow and review and do all the podcast things that people do. And don't forget to be a good human.